welcome back to Reel to Reel, the most reliable movie review program on the internet. I am noted film critic Nick.
And I'm other noted film critic Aiden.
Today we're taking a look at the newest film by legendary director and theme park guru Martin Scorsese.
Theme park guru?
Well, he constantly calls Marvel films theme park rides. I thought it worked.
Oh, well, all right. Well, will this film be as good as Goodfellas or The Wolf of Wall Street? Or is it going to be Scorsese's first blunder?
Let's check it out.
Whose land is this?
My land.
Well, our war hero has arrived. You made a good choice coming back here. Osage are the finest, wealthiest, and most beautiful people on God's earth. They outsmarted everybody. They have the say who gets the oil. Son, I got a question. You like women?
That's my weakness.
Well, we mix these families together, and that estate money flows the right direction. It'll come to us.
Shomikasi. That's how you are.
I don't know what you said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
Why did you come here?
I work with my uncle.
You scared of him?
Oh, he's the nicest man in the world.
The Osage, their time is over. We got to take back control of our home.
I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
We have so many deaths we've lost count.
It's just bad luck.
Seems more like an epidemic than bad luck to me.
Osage is dying by the enemy. Do not let them die alone.
Evil surrounds my heart.
We gotta pick a side.
I don't even know if you love me anymore.
Of course I love you.
And kill these men who killed my family.
Did your wife say who she was most afraid of?
Don't do something you're gonna regret for the rest of your life. I ain't got nothing but regret.
Killers of the Flower Moon is a crime drama film directed by Martin Scorsese. He co-wrote the screenplay with Eric Roth based on the 2017 book of the same name by David Grond. Its plot centers on a series of Oklahoma murders in Osage Nation during the 1920s committed after oil was discovered on tribal land.
The film follows Ernest Burkhart, who returns from World War I to his rancher uncle, William King Hale. Ernest's brother Byron is also staying there. Hale, a reserve deputy sheriff, popularly called King, poses as a friendly man of the Osage. He speaks their language and bestows gifts on them. He secretly schemes to murder them to get their wealth.
Hale then tells Ernest to pay special attention to Molly Kyle, an Osage whose family owns oil head rights. He develops a romance with her, and then they are married. Hale tells Ernest that he will inherit more of Molly's share of wealth as more of the family members die.
Hale has already ordered many deaths of the wealthy Osage people, ordering the deaths of Molly's sister Minnie and Anna.
Ernest displays a reluctance to kill Molly, with whom he now has 2 children, though Hale persists and has Ernest poison Molly by drugging her insulin. Molly begins to experience the same wasting illness as Minnie.
Ernest then botches another murder. He orders the death of Henry Roan and Molly's last sister Rita and her husband. With all these murders happening, Molly hires a personal investigator, William J. Burns. He is beaten to death by Ernest's gang of thugs. Molly then travels to Washington, D.C. to ask President Calvin Coolidge for help. The Bureau of Investigation, led by Agent Tom White, is then sent on the case.
Hale then tries to cover his tracks by murdering several of his own hired killers, but White ferrets out the truth and arrests him and Ernest, even though Ernest at one point deliberately drinks some of her poison himself. The agents find Molly nearly dead and get her proper medical care.
White pressures Ernest into testifying against Hale for the murders. Ernest agrees, but later, after talking with Hale's attorney, Ernest makes the fake claim that he was tortured into accepting to testify. However, the death of one of Ernest and Molly's 3 children from whooping cough persuades Ernest to testify.
Molly meets with Ernest one more time before walking out on him when he lies about not poisoning her. The epilogue is then set as a radio show.
Well, that's enough plot for today. Let's take a breather and check out a behind-the-scenes clip.
We're making a film about an historical event that is central to the Osage history. So, of course, it's important we spoke that language.
What
was that?
This is 1920s, where people were still speaking the Osage language daily.
We wanted to be as authentic as possible, and using the duality of both English and Osage was a symbol of the enmeshment of the two cultures.
We need the shots.
Language and culture are inseparable. You understand the way people operate through their language.
Speaking Osage changed the way that I even moved as Molly. It took months to get comfortable with a different pace of speaking.
Working
with Robert De Niro, he is very serious about it. So we met every day, getting the gestures right and the voice right.
They got very comfortable with the words, the sounds, the rhythms. And in some cases, I didn't even put subtitles on the scene because you know what's going on. We're deeply committed to staying true to the reality of the world in which this story unfolds.
Released by Paramount and Apple, the film has a budget of $200 million, and at the time of this episode, it has made an approximate of $55.8 million at the box office. It is Marty's second most expensive film, right behind The Irishman, at $250 million, which, fun fact, only made $8 million in the box office because of Netflix and their poor theatrical strategies. But as far as I could find, The Irishman never made its money back, even from streaming and Criterion sales.
In an interview, Marty spoke about the pacing for this film being inspired by Ari Aster's films Midsummer and Beau is Afraid, as well as a 1942 film Cat People and 1943 film I Walked with a Zombie.
This is Marty's 7th film with Leonardo DiCaprio, starting with Gangs of New York back in 2002, and this is also his 11th film with Robert De Niro, starting with Mean Streets all the way back in 1973.
The film was shot in Osage County and Washington County, Oklahoma, specifically in Pawhuska, Fairfax, and Bartlesville. In fact, one scene in this movie is filmed on the exact same plot as a scene in the classic 90s film Twister. Filming began in February 2021, and after a brief delay in filming due to an injury De Niro sustained, production wrapped in October of that year.
Before Marty created his adaptation of the Killers of the Flower Moon story, J.J. Abrams was going to direct an adaptation of it back in 2016, and there were even listings of George Clooney being interested in directing it, but it was just rumors. There was no direct source for that.
This isn't the first film adaptation of the Osage murder. In 1959, Warner Bros. Released an anthology film called The FBI Story starring Jimmy Stewart that depicted it. And going back even further to the silent era, there was a 1926 film called Tragedies of the Osage Hills. However, that film is now lost media.
Well, say it with me now. We got some bills to pay. We'll be back in exactly 1 minute.
We really try and keep track of what's going on in the world as far as what are the trends. And so when a student comes here, they're learning the marketing aspects of video production with turnkey. So they learn how to write, storyboard, and capture video, set lights, set audio, and then they learn how to edit everything from start to finish.
We believe that we are providing a transformative educational experience. It's hands-on, it's project-based, it's portfolio-based, it's based on real-world industry experiences.
They take deep dives on all of these. You know, a lot of the classes are tiered, so you get an entry-level course and then an advanced, and then you get your capstone projects where you're bringing them all together. So it's nice the way that they structure it and help you get a deeper understanding of stuff that you may or may not have thought you already had a good handle on.
What can I say about a Martin Scorsese film that hasn't been said before? It's competently shot, it has an interesting story, and almost everyone gives a great performance. Except Leonardo DiCaprio. He's my least favorite character in the movie, which is unfortunate since he's like the main character. It seemed like he was trying way too hard. I could never really believe him. He was always giving off high school theater vibes. Robert De Niro is really good. Lily Gladstone is fantastic. But to be honest, the first 90 minutes of this movie I found incredibly boring. Like, I actually fell asleep briefly during it, which I've never done in any movie. It's a lot of exposition. It gets boring fast. The last 2 hours, though, are pretty interesting. There's a lot of really great shots, the whole fire sequence, the 2 tribal dance scenes, and I really like the lighting in the prison scenes. You know at the end of biopic films where they always have the text like, this person lived to so-and-so, like an aftermath text? This film did that in a really unique way where they portrayed it like an old 50s radio true crime program, with even a cameo by Scorsese himself. The score was fine. It felt a little repetitive at times, and at first I thought it was really bassy, but then I realized that was the bass coming from the Taylor Swift movie The Theater Over, so overall, it's a fine movie. It's way too long, though. It's definitely looser compared to Scorsese's other films. You watch like Goodfellas or After Hours, and those films are like tight as a drum. Whether or not I liked it, though, it is definitely interesting and is a story worth telling. I just wish they spent more time on the actual crime aspect rather than the romance between Leo and Lily Gladstone's characters, which, yeah, they are part of the story, but it's just really dull to me. 3 out of 5 reels. It's great to have a non-Halloween movie in theaters right now, but it's just a shame it kind of overstayed its welcome, but I would still recommend checking it out.
I just want to put it out there that I was seriously awed by this film. The storytelling was masterful, and there wasn't a time in the theater where I felt that the pace of the movie was off, too slow, or dragged on. Halfway through the movie, I really had to go to the bathroom. But even in this 3.5-hour runtime, I couldn't find a spot in the movie where I could take a break. To me, that's seriously saying something about the amount of meat that this movie has. The driving factors were the amazing performances of Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, and Robert De Niro. Each time they were in a scene, they completely stole it. That is an amazing accomplishment for an actor. I would say that Lily Gladstone gave the best performance out of the 3. Every time she was on screen, you were just captivated in her performance. The love story between Ernest and Molly was beautifully well done. There have been few films of her in my life that made me feel confused about my own emotions in a good way, and this relationship between the two really had me. I didn't know whether to feel for the pushover husband or the hard, stubborn wife. Their love was surprisingly genuine, and it really had me distraught when Ernest was just a pushover and let greed win over his love for his family. His character is so interesting to dissect and delve into. He comes out of World War I. This already gives you an idea of what kind of mental state he may be in. He goes to live with his uncle, and you get to see firsthand already how easily of a coward he is and how he could be easily manipulated and pushed over by his uncle. These first scenes already make you feel sorry for the pathetic war veteran he is. Throughout the whole movie, you are constantly put into his realm of difficulties, dealing with his conflicting emotions of love and greed. The score in this movie is absolutely captivating. It does a really good job in bringing you into the scene. You'll be listening to the same song for 10 minutes and you wouldn't even notice it. I don't really have anything bad to say about this film other than the time, but even then I felt that the time flew by due to the great pacing. Overall, this film is one of Martin Scorsese's top films, so this movie will mark my first 5 out of 5 reels. I feel this movie is well deserving this rating due to the story, character development, acting, and musical score.
Well, on that note, we are approaching the end of our show.
Don't forget to tune in to our next show at noon. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive updates of new uploads.
If you're watching this on our Facebook page, make sure you follow us and you'll be notified the next time we go live.
Again, my name is Aiden, and along with my friend here, Nick, we hope to see you next time on Reel to Reel.